I'll show you. That is what we have outside the window. I hope everyone is doing well under the circumstances. I'm going to try and get on here at least a couple of times a week. Audience or not, I know that this is not the most ideal or professionally created live feed podcast. I actually have over the years tried in vain to get the proper mics, but I don't, my space right now does not have any, I do not have the luxury of having any kind of like a professional studio or whatever. I just don't. Sorry. It just is what it is. So if you're offended or find this to be completely whatever, I don't know what to say. Enjoy. Sorry. Well, no, this is not a makeup tutorial. I don't like this lipstick. I actually want to get the Victory Red lipstick. I like a matte lipstick. I've discovered I don't wear lipstick. Pardon me. I got something in my lung and it's acting up. Anyway. So, some things that are on my, I don't like this lipstick. I have no idea. Anyway, whatever. I don't like frosted lipstick. It's too 1980s. But, whatever. I know, and everyone's like, ooh, who cares? I don't have anybody on this feed right now anyway. So, yeah, I want to try and get on at least a couple of times a week as I can. It's easier for me to speak. And I'm hoping I get some people. I don't know. They may be, oh, hi, I got one person. Hello. So, feel free to comment and like my channel to be able to get updates. But anyway, so what am I going to talk about today? I think I'll talk about Robert F. Kennedy. Hi, Jordan. I'm going to talk a little bit about Robert F. Kennedy. Now, for the record, yes. Hi, Tenacious J. What am I discussing? Well, I'm going to start out by talking about Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. And then I'm going to talk about the Dark Enlightenment and some other stuff. So, thanks for joining me today. So, over the night, for a while, okay, full disclaimer. I actually supported Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I make no apologies for that because I'd been following him for about 20 years, right? Like I've followed, he was always very pro-environment, trying to clean up the environment, our waterways, our soil, everything, right? And most people that are younger don't know, like especially if you're 20-something, you don't know the work that Robert F. Kennedy has done for the environment and other stuff. Now, his vaccine stuff, that's later in his career. And I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. I think that the media did a real job on him with regards to deliberately misrepresenting his position. Yes, he's gone over to the dark side. Okay. It frustrated me. I have been very vocal about the fact that and a lot of people that supported Robert F. Kennedy have been very, very Tenacious, you really like you like Robert F. Kennedy. Yeah, I mean, up until recently, I've liked him. Now it's just kind of like I don't know what is going to happen, right? Like I have no idea. Hi, Jackson's nuts. If I don't talk and respond to every single person, it's just because I don't want to ruin my train of thought. But yeah, I mean, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has had a long career in working for the environment, which is really important and is something that generally the left and liberals used to care about. They were the ones that were like, hey, wow, quit dumping this toxic waste. Quit dumping this toxic waste into the river. I think that he found a way to get things done. Pardon me. I'm sorry. I'm like, I got something in my chest right before it came on, of course. Um, it depends on how things are getting done, which I have a massive, massive criticism of. And I'm going to get into some of that later on. But one of the main things that I really wanted to make sure that people were clear about. So right now, there's a lot of buzz about wellness centers or excuse me, wellness farms, and how he wants to uh, handle substance treatment in this country. Now, people are stating that, oh, he's creating forced labor camps. I mean, I understand under the circumstances we are living in a Yahtzee land right now, and there's some really dangerous ideas going around. But Robert F. Kennedy's original discussions about this comes from a very successful treatment model called the pardon me, and I'm going to completely butcher this. It's hard to say. San Patrignano. See, Patrignano. Patrignano. San Patrignano. And it's the therapeutic model. And that's basically what he is talking about, right? Yeah. I mean, I'll go into the whole substance abuse stuff. And there's a lot of abuse in the system too. I mean, there's a lot of abuse in the lot of like fly by night, for profit, substance treatment centers that crop up. It's really, really corrupt. And I know somebody whose stepson died in one of them, and they're completely corrupt. They're for profit. They don't care about these people. And the thing that's so horrible about it is that these for-profit substance treatment centers that are popping up, a lot of them in Florida or whatever, they do it because they're scams and they can get Medicaid money. Okay. So it's not really the Medicaid issue. It's the fact that they saw a loophole and they're like, oh, we can bill Medicaid for all of this substance. And then they don't do it because there's no oversight, especially it's in Florida. So of course there's no regulation in Florida, right? I mean, it's not that Medicaid is the issue. It's the fact that for-profit substance, I'll post it in the thing. It's Patrignano. San Patrignano. It's the fact that that these for-profit grifty things are lying to people, and people have died. People who are dealing with substance use issues have died. So anyway, in terms of what model is best, I mean, I think that people should look into that. It's called San Patrignano. Patrignano, Patrignano, and it's in central Italy. And I'm reading off of the substance use stigma from Cornell University website. I'll try and remember to post this link. I'm just reading from their website. Located on the rolling hills between the Apennine Mountains and the Adriatic Sea in central Italy, San Patrignano is known as the one of the most successful drug rehabilitation programs in the world. The program for substance use and stigma of addiction is honored to collaborate, and this is Cornell, with this non-traditional therapeutic community that takes a comprehensive and social approach to healing those with severe substance use disorders. And there's you can download an ebook. But, I'm supportive of that. I think that no, I'm not going to talk about something cool and fun. I mean, I'm sorry that I'm not here to entertain you. If you want to go to an entertainment thing, sorry if I'm not entertaining you. If something comes up, I'll mention it, but I don't know. Anyway. Okay. Now we're getting silly. Anyway, so if you're a troll, please go away. Anyway, so what I'm saying is, I think that people need to do a little bit more homework about this model. Despite all the crap and horror show that is going on right now in the United States, I think that people, I really hope that some of the things that Robert F. Kennedy had talked about when he was running for president, I wish him the best of luck with that. I don't honestly know under the circumstances and the way things are unfolding. He talked a lot about the collusion between the FDA and Big Pharma, and that he wanted to get rid of a lot of the heads of these organizations because they were corrupt. I mean, they were allowing this for profit. I mean, the FDA is really questionable, and people, the left used to care about this stuff. I don't know what happened to them. They somehow during the pandemic bought hook, line, and sinker, and now are defending Pfizer. There's so many lawsuits that have been leveled against Pfizer over bad drugs. I mean, look at the whole opioid epidemic and look at OxyContin and the FDA. I mean, there's a lot of real big problems here, folks. And so I don't understand. And Robert F. Kennedy, and people always go, oh, he's a heroin addict. He's got a brain worm. I'm like, people, can you actually pay attention and listen to the argument instead of just throwing up ad hominem attacks and attacking the man? Okay. I will not listen to people who say, oh, anti-vax Robert F. Kennedy, or, oh, he's got a brain worm, or, oh, he's a drug addict, can't stand his voice. I mean, it's like, those are all ad hominem attacks, okay? Listen to what he is actually saying, okay? And I think that we should be questioning, governmental organizations, governmental, alphabet agencies that have too much influence from big corporate entities. I mean, we used to care about that stuff. I'm not saying that how Trump is handling it or Elon is the way to do it at all. No, it's very dangerous what they're doing. Anyway. So it's a real problem. And so, I don't know how this is all going to roll out, honestly. But I supported him when he was talking about, the FDA. I don't know why people are carrying Pfizer's water. I mean, we should be critical of these things. I have a family member who was injured with Vioxx. Okay. Now, Vioxx was an arthritic drug that was rolled out in 80s, 90s, I think. And so a lot of people, like athletes and stuff, she was an athlete. She was very athletic and everything. And she took it for inflammation. It's like an anti-inflammatory drug. and the drug actually caused a heart condition. And I don't believe it's still on the market, but there were lawsuits. If you look up Vioxx, right? So she had a heart condition from Vioxx. And she was then not, she was instructed by her doctor not to take the COVID vaccine. Okay. And she got ostracized because she didn't get vaccinated. And this is up in Canada. And she said that she was ostracized, that people were treating her like a pariah. But she literally was not supposed to take the vaccine because of her heart condition. So, the extremism and the reactionary uh, things that have been going on in our society has got to end. You've got to like actually listen to what you're saying and listening to, what other people are saying. It's a real problem. Anyway. Um, so anyway, that's kind of what, my whole thing. I'm like, I wish Robert F. Kennedy luck if, in fact, things do happen. But again, with the combination of what Trump and Elon are doing, it's up in the air. And I'm not saying I'm not concerned, but I want people on the left to actually provide arguments in good faith. Quit doing ad hominem attacks and misrepresenting positions. It is not a flattering look on the left that you are deliberately trying to misrepresent positions. You're not helping our conversation, which we don't need more lies and more deceit and more propaganda and more hysteria. We need to keep our heads, and we need to, provide good faith arguments and really trying to grapple with this stuff. Because if we're lying and we put out misrepresentation, you're just creating more chaos. It's not going to help the situation at all. We need to be the better side instead of the hysterical Fox News, let's lie about everything side. We've got to do better. And so I'm like, I'm, yeah, and I lost everybody. Yeah, whatever. But, so, that is kind of where I'm at with it. I'm going to read about it. I encourage folks. I mean, we should want to have functional substance abuse treatment stuff going on. Anyway, and we should want to get rid of the for-profit, whether or not that's going to, I know for a fact that Trump's administration is all about privatizing everything. I work for a mental health nonprofit. I do medical records, and I've done that for over 20 years. And our clientele, the people that we serve, is made up of majority of Medicaid clients. I think we might have some private funded clients. We get a little bit of grant money from, I think, the city and maybe from the state, but our clients are Medicaid clients. Okay. And so they're low income, vulnerable populations. We deal with substance use. We've had award-winning there's a program that we work with courts that it's alternative interventions. So you work with the courts to have more creative treatment. Instead of just throwing people in jail, they work with people that have, committed crimes or whatever, or having these issues, right? So we deal with a lot of that. And a lot of that is going to be on the chopping block. I fear that a lot of that money is going to just disappear because of Trump's activities. And, people really do not have a good foundation of any philosophical, like they don't really even understand about how democracy, how about anything about the Enlightenment. They don't really have any kind of fundamental understanding of big concepts because they were poorly educated in school. And again, you know, schooling is a problem. They're privatizing all that. Um, like not in a good way. I mean, I'm not a supporter of charter schools or vouchers, um, because they're all primarily going to religious schools now. Like they've opened that up in the state of Ohio. They've opened it up that voucher schools can include religious education, etc. Charter schools do not have the track record that a lot of people think. They think, oh, it's school choice. A lot of them do very poorly. And I'm not saying that public education has had a great track record either. Um, we need, I think outside the box. About that, but I've always supported a classical education model, which, yes, fundamentalists and, Catholics and religious people claim to do a classical education model, but the classical education model, and the classical education model has been thrown out the window by the left because they get all worked up about, oh, that's just a bunch of old white men, instead of actually understanding the concept of the trivium, for instance, which you've got your grammar, which are your facts, and then you've got your logic. How do you use these facts and to make a logical argument, and grammar, logic, rhetoric, sorry, rhetoric, which is, your action, how you change things in the world reusing that model. And I'm a big fan of the trivium model. I'm a big fan of working and developing critical thinking skills as early as you can. Um, and it's really problematic that people don't have that foundation of, so, and you can see what's going on. I mean, and this is leading into the thing about the dark enlightenment. Tenacious J, you can feel all you want. That doesn't make anything true. You feel like things. Okay, back that up with facts. What do you think that Trump is doing that is going to change things for the better? Give me facts instead of your feelings. Like, what do you like about Trump? Anyway, I think that, so that leads into the whole dark enlightenment. So I don't think that many people have a really good solid foundation of what the Enlightenment was. Over the last several years, I've seen churches leaked video footage of them talking about how democracy is evil and we need to get rid of democracy. They were, oh, it's a republic. We don't live in a democracy. And people don't really have kind of like a foundation of understanding of like what it means to, have a democracy or whatever. We're just like, da 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 da. We're just doing our own little thing. And it's not, don't look over there. It's a mess. Anyway, we just don't, I don't know. Sorry, this isn't one of my better times just because it's Sunday, it's snowing, and I'm in pain. I have a bad knee. Anyway, so I think that people don't really have the foundation that is required to handle any of this stuff. And so the latest thing is J.D. Vance, Elon Musk, and other technocrats are really heavy into this concept of neo-reactionary philosophy and this the Dark Enlightenment. So basically, they believe, in a nutshell, is that democracy needs to go away and we need to replace it with a technocratic monarchy. Okay. I'm still trying to get a handle on this because I had actually never heard of anything like this. But in these little chat rooms, all these little tech bros in their parents' basement and stuff, uh, are talking about this, and it's cool, and it's just people don't really have a foundation. They're lured in because they don't have internal monarchy. And this is like, people don't even know what these terms mean, right? They don't know what the difference between anarchy and monarchy is, okay? And people go, oh, well, anarchy means chaos. Anarchy means, chaos and violence. That's not what anarchy means. It means without government, okay? That's all it means, all right? Or without rules. It does not mean that there are no rules. It's just that there are no rulers, okay? And in order to be able to fully embrace something like that, you have to have internal monarchy, okay? You have to understand these concepts and you have to understand yourself. We are so far from actually being able to rule ourselves. It's not even funny. We've probably even slid over the last 100 years into one of probably the most, we are in a dark age. People really don't have a lot of, understanding. I mean, the fact that I have people that, deny, they don't watch the news. They want to stick their head in the sands. They want to believe what they want to believe, but they don't want to face reality. Okay. I was talking to a friend that supported Trump, and I told them again, I said, what about Project 2025? And they were just like, oh, I don't know anything about that. And Trump said, in the same sentence, and Trump said he doesn't have anything to do with that. And yet, here we are. It is, if you and paid attention to what Project 2025 is, you would know that everything that is going on right now is part of Project 2025. So, they are so gullible to believe that, oh, he said this, da da da. And here we are. It's like, and this person that told me this, when I confronted them with some things, they didn't like it and they got mad at me, and they basically said, I'm throwing all of your stuff in the trash. Like, I don't want to hear from you anymore. And this is somebody who I have been friends with for over 40 years. And this was their response. They thought everything that he was doing was fine. He can do no wrong. And I just complete denial. And yet I'm somehow the bad person because I'm pointing out what is going on. And I don't think this person's ever going to wake up. And that's what's really scary. I think that is truly what is really super scary, is that there's too many. And I think what makes this whole situation different right now is that there's a lot of different groups that are getting little presents from Trump, right? And they may not have ever been allied, but hey, you've got this over here, and these people are like, hey, wow, Trump is doing this, 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 and this. Well, we like that, right? Because Trump gave him some little gifts, get through a couple of bones, and then this group over here is going, well, he's doing this for us. Oh, this is going to be great, wonderful. And these groups probably wouldn't normally be on the same side. They may actually be enemies. It doesn't really matter. Everybody's getting a little bit of something that they're getting fooled and tricked into complacency. It's like, there's a concept called, my My brain is not functioning today. There's a concept about opposition. So basically, controlled opposition. So you want people to be lulled into a sense of, oh, hey, wow, we're doing good things, right? Like controlled opposition is a fake oppositional movement that traps people into going, oh, look, we're going to get this. And it's actually, you think that you're in the opposition of the ruling party or whatever, and you're actually, that ruling party is owning that opposition. Okay. So all these little people that think, oh, I like what he's doing, or, oh, this is what I agree with, they're all part of the problem. Like they're all being lied to and entrapped. And it's going to be interesting. I think when the band-aid comes off, either they're going to go deeper into cognitive dissonance, or they're going to wake up and go, wow, we really were wrong. But when, it's hard for people to admit that they're wrong, right? It's people like don't want to be wrong. To say I was wrong is a really hard concept for people to admit to. And that, again, that requires that internal work that we need to do to be able to go, why is it so hard for me to say I was wrong, or to apologize? Why is that? Why can't people do that? Trump never apologizes. Why is that? There's the fact, and then that leads into the whole Christian stuff, right? No, I was going to talk a little bit more about dark enlightenment, but the fact that a Episcopalian bishop speaks Christ consciousness, Jesus's words. I was raised Episcopalian, so I'm very familiar with Christianity, etc. And the vitriol that has been leveled against a Christian bishop for saying love your neighbor as yourself is freaking insane. And I'm like, these people that are saying this stuff. I mean, this really just proves that this stuff, all these people are anti-Christians. I mean, they have nothing to do with Christianity. They have been fed a steady diet of BS in their churches, and they don't know anymore. They have been so lied to. I mean, talk about, oppositional control. I mean, these people, it's just like a cult. And they're fake ass Christians. They're total fake ass Christians. They're not real Christians. If you're talking about Christ consciousness, etc. But going back to the dark enlightenment, I talked a little bit about it. Again, I'm still trying to get up to speed about it. But let's see. What can I see? I may go for an hour today. Not that anybody's listening to me, because I'm not entertaining people. I get all the boys in the thing, and they don't. Anyway. Yeah, so, yeah, again, like, I'm still trying to, like, get up to speed with Curtis Yarvin. This is from The Guardian. He's anti-democracy and pro-Trump, the obscure dark enlightenment blogger influencing the next U.S. administration. Now, this was a month. When was this article? This was actually December 21st, 2024. So this is after the election. Or no, this is after. I'm just going to read from the article. Curtis Yarvin is hardly a household name in U.S. politics, but the neo-reactionary, quote-unquote, thinker and far-right blogger is emerging as a serious intellectual influences on key figures in Donald Trump's coming administration, in particular over potential threats to U.S. democracy. Yarvin, who considers liberal democracy as a decadent enemy to be dismantled, is intellectually influential on Vice President-elect J.D. Vance, and close to several proposed Trump appointees. The aftermath of Trump's election victory has seen actions and rhetoric from Trump and his lieutenants that closely resemble Yarvin's public proposals for taking autocratic power in America. And I think this dovetails into a lot of these Christian right people who have talked about the dismantling of democratic norms, because they want to be, they believe in Christian nationalism. I mean, they believe that God comes first and all this other kind of crap. And I have been paying attention to the Christian national movement for decades. My stepfather, who was the national legal director for American Atheists, fought against these people. I mean, I was just watching, there's a new show on Amazon called The Amazing Gemstones, and it's basically kind of a comedy parody of a lot of these evangelical big church types that, and they have a lot of money and they have greed and all this other kind of stuff. And these are the kind of people, I mean, they lie to people, and people go, oh, they're Christian, and here, I'll give them money. And I mean, it's so, it makes my stomach sick to know that people are so vulnerable to this stuff. Let's see. So Trump's legal moves against critics in the media, Elon Musk's promises to pare government spending to the bone, and the deployment of the MAGA base against Republican lawmakers who have criticized controversial nominees like Pete Hegseth are among the measures that resemble elements of Yarvin's strategy for displacing liberal democracy in the U.S. One of the venues in which Yarvin has articulated the strategy include a podcast hosted by Michael Anton, a writer and academic whom Trump last week appointed to work in a senior role under the Secretary of State nominee Marco Rubio. Although Yarvin once described Vance as a quote-unquote random normie politician I barely met in a July Substack post, in October, The Verge reported that, quote, no one online has shaped Vance's thinking more. And so there's a lot of these, a lot of these different lives. Thank you very much. A lot of these parallel but different groups of thinking, and people are in denial about this. Is why the left does no favors for our cause when we misrepresent or fearmonger on our side, because there's enough fear in there. We don't need to make up more. I think that weakens our position a lot. And we need to be able to listen to each other instead of having knee-jerk reactions, instead of going, I'm offended, or stomping off, or assuming what the other person's going to say, etc. And, I just see a lot of things. And I think that it was deliberate. I think that the powers that be deliberately created and weakened the left with a lot of and I know I'm going to get crap for this, a lot of the wokeism. Okay. I remember I went to college in the 90s, and I saw a lot of the bad effects of politically correct speech, right? Now, I understand that it is important to understand and not use speech as weapons against other people. That's understandable. But I did see a lot of, I got attacked by my dorm room supervisor for using the word girl in referring to some women that I went to college with in my previous school. Like I said, oh yeah, there's some girls that I know. And she got offended by that. And she's like, oh, that's offensive. She was and she reamed into me and said that, they're women, and doesn't that offend you? And, and I remember I was at a table with my grandmother, and the waiter came up and said, hello, girls. It's like, it's disrespectful. It's just like, and of course, all the militant feminists, they shaved their heads, and they went in kicking in men's doors and calling them rapists. And I mean, I'll tell you, I'll flat out, I went to Antioch College, which is the birth of this sexual offense policy. Okay. And that's a whole nother matter. And I will say for the record that how the sexual offense policy is now was a lot better than what it was when I first started it. It wasn't constitutional. It wasn't fair. And I do still have issues with, how women and men talk about sex, right? It's a problem. Anyway, um, so Tenacious, what am I correct about? I'm just curious. I wish I could I don't know how to include people because I'd like to be able to talk to people and everything, but I'm still trying to get used to it. Um but yeah, and I think that the left has been systematically weakened. Oh, yeah. I mean, I know that I'm going to get crap from the left on that. Um but whatever it was initially in terms of being awake and conscious about, you know, I mean, the thing is that there has been systemic racism in this government. Our highway system is based on it. Roads, the redlining in banks, those things happen, segregation, and it is bad. And we basically created an entire impoverished community of minorities, didn't properly, didn't take care of the lead in their communities, let them fall apart, let drugs in. I mean, there's the whole, we fed them literal drugs. I mean, there's a lot of problems as to why that community has been so weakened. And it happened, right? You can't deny that it happened. It's not just, oh, whatever. Um, the whole wokeism thing is, to me, the fake, let's be offended by superficial things instead of actually having intelligent, informed discussions that are not in these, oh, I can't say this word, you know. Even there's a really good black, uh, he is a linguist. And hold on. My brain is not working very. John McWhorter. Okay. John McWhorter. Look him up. He is a black linguist at Columbia University, and he has spoken out against, to his own community, the black community, about being offended by the N-word. Okay. And how people have used that language stuff, if you're reading from a book, like, oh, we got to get rid of this book because it says, and of course I can't say it because, and it has the N word in it. And they're like, we need to ban this because it has the N word in it. And it's like, that has happened on campuses. And there's just, and a lot of this stuff about cultural appropriation and what is that? And it's, yeah, the unhealthy fast food in poor communities, definitely. I mean, food deserts and everything, and it's a real problem. I the black community has a lot to be fearful of because why should they trust them? Why should the Native American communities trust the government? I mean, they haven't done anything good for them. I've worked on a Sioux reservation. I saw what happened. Here I am, like white savior, going to the food, and I was trying to learn, but I said some pretty stupid things because I was upper middle class white woman going into a Sioux reservation to help them, right? And I was trying to I meant it very earnestly. I wasn't trying to say I feel that way, but I was trying to learn Lakota. Um, but I said some stupid things because I didn't really think about what I was saying, but they have a right to be angry at us, you know? It sucks. I mean, I balk back about certain times about saying, oh, oh, it's all white people. There's a lot of really good white people out there. There's a lot of really good, well-meaning white people. So, and other, black communities can be racist, Asian communities can be racist. We all can be racist. So we need to get over this idea that only white people can be racist. No, everybody can be racist, and we need to acknowledge that. But anyway, that's about the whole, the wokeism thing. And, the same thing with women's rights. I mean, I was there at the sexual offense policy that got lampooned on SNL. And it was really problematic. I mean, I knew somebody, I mean, it was just toxic. It was just, and we went to a reunion, and like 20 years later, and we're like, oh, I mean, the guys were like, I couldn't date for years after that because they were so traumatized at how a lot of these militant feminists were attacking them. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with my time at Antioch. I will proudly say I am a liberal. I do not shy away from that definition or that label. But I think that however this has happened in the left has basically shot themselves in the foot in a lot of ways. And it's troubling, and I think it's all by design. I mean, this left-right Hegelian dialectic that has been going on just to basically, red versus blue, Republican versus Democrat, left versus right. It's all to keep us divided. I mean, people talk about this all the time, like they pit men and women against each other. They pit black and white against each other. They pit, gay and straight against each other. I mean, on and on and on. I mean, this is a system that they're promoting because it benefits them instead of us all being unified and focusing against them. Oh, well, thanks a lot. Thanks, Tenacious. Tell your friends, like and subscribe to my channel. I really want to be able to talk more about things like this because I think it's important. I've been trying locally to try and, this is the other thing too, is that I really encourage folks to figure out a way to meet in person with local people. Make it a potluck. People like potlucks. People like food, right? But everyone's going to say, I'm too busy. I'm busy. I'm trying to figure out how to make this thing work. Years ago, I participated in a salon. Now, not a hair salon, an intellectual salon that took place at a mansion in a local community that I was in. Not like a mansion, like the person was rich. They actually had inherited it, but it was a historical mansion property and they rented out rooms and everything like that. So, but it was a mansion and it had this big, huge dining room with a big, long dining room table. And, in a nice, big, old fashioned, I mean, this is from like the 1800s, right? And they had a big thing and everyone, mostly it was kind of boomers that were retired professors from the local university. And we would get around and, talk about things. And sometimes we would invite politicians and they would sit down, break bread with us. And, people would bring wine and salad and whatever dish and bread and all that. And we would sit around in the evenings. I think it started on Mondays and then they changed the day and I couldn't do it anymore. But, pick a time after work and find a location that, open your house up if you feel safe to do that. I mean, she had the space to be able to do it. She ran an office out of her building and everything. But, if you can find a space to do that and, have, civility built in, but we need to be able to break bread with each other. We need to be able to, oh, well, thank you. We need to be able to break bread with people and have good conversations and talk about difficult issues in a civil, intelligent manner. and we're so isolated. The irony is that, I did my senior project in college on how, and this was right before, like right as the internet came online. I mean, you had the internet, but you had AOL, you had Prodigy, and I have to look back at my project, but in a nutshell, I was going out into these little messaging chat groups, right? And talking about using the conversation of the witch trials, and talking about freedom of religion and speech and stuff with fundamentalist Christian groups that would have their own little communities and everything. And my premise was that, oh, this is going to be a really great way in order for us to come together and hash things out. Well, of course, that was all destroyed. I think it could have gone that way, but of course, profit took over and they really siloed a lot of this stuff, and they designed these systems of social media with advertising, with sensationalism. They had a lot of trolls, they had a lot of liars. So it's like, yeah, if you have a pure atmosphere, um, with intelligent people, and you're not being unduly influenced by trolls and advertising and algorithms that push certain narratives over other narratives, then yeah, maybe it has a chance, right? But that's the system that we have. We have a system that is very siloed. We know that they can turn things off, they can turn things on, they can tweak the algorithms, they can push forward certain narratives. They allow a lot of bad faith actors into the into these rooms and into these conversations, and so you have a group talking about art, but then there's trolls that are coming and pushing, dank memes and pro Trump stuff, and things are completely off topic. And it's like, you can't, and they're designed primarily to get a reaction from people, to distract them, to, get them off the thing. And it just, you don't know anymore. Like, if, before I was, there was more than likely no trolls that were out there, um, you know, deliberately being paid to lie and disrupt a conversation. I mean, they may have had their own agendas, they may have their own belief systems, but you're not being manipulated and emotionally triggered and all this other kind of stuff. There's so much more stuff that's influencing these conversations. Um, and 30 years ago, they didn't exist. Like, it was, you go into a chat room, more than likely you're talking to someone who's a human on the other end of that. They may be crappy humans, but at least they were humans. And there was just a lot less. They've really designed the system to create the world that we have. And so, and people are just mentally damaged from it. I get very little, I have one, you're the only person that apparently is listening to me. And so, trying to encourage good conversation. I mean, I'm chomping at the bit, and people are just so busy. Full disclosure, I am a conservative. However, I want to have good convos with. Well, good, good. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I've lost a lot of people on the left as friends because they don't understand what I'm saying. And I'm like, I'm trying to say, hey, I'm trying to check the power on the left and saying, hey, wow, you're not completely 100% correct either. And I know that there are people on the right that are like, oh, no, you know. I mean, I supported Dennis Kucinich and for president many years ago. Yeah, yeah, this is what we need. We need to just have more conversations with people. And it's funny too. I was recently in line with some people that I knew, that they were conservatives or probably Trump supporters. And it's just, we were all being kind to each other, but I knew because they wore a MAGA hat that who they supported. And it's like people are so trained now to go, oh, I know what you're going to say. You know, I lost some family during the pandemic because I was pushing forth the lab leak theory, and I got attacked. We're back on speaking terms, but because early on, like back in 2021, early 2021, it may have even been sooner than that, about the lab leak theory, and I got attacked for being racist, etc. And I kept following it, and every time I saw something new, bam, 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 I'd post it. And I've got this whole running thing because I was like, they're like, you're racist, and I can't believe it, and this is just horrible, and da da da. I'm like, people, you're not even looking at what I'm talking about. I actually did have one friend that came back after it was all said and done and said, you were right. It's like, sorry. Anyway. So yeah, I speak truth to power. I call out the left when they do crappy things because I'm on the left. I'm a liberal, and I really, really hope that there are more conservatives that wake up to this insanity because I don't know if they're. Oh, so anyway, I was talking about Dennis Kucinich. So yeah, I was supporting Dennis Kucinich, and at the time, Ron Paul, they were like, let's have a debate between Ron Paul and Dennis Kucinich as kind of a parallel debate, like that they were having. And so, I mean, a lot of libertarians liked what Dennis Kucinich was saying, his opposition to the war in Iraq, etc. And he was a Democrat, he was liberal, and it's just kind of crazy. Like, I just see this flip with the left, and I'm like, what happened to you? Like, you're like, suddenly you don't care about the environment, like you're more concerned about climate change, which I think the whole climate change movement has been hijacked by big oil and big polluters and corporations. That's why I think a lot of the messaging is just kind of wonky. I believe that climate change is occurring. I can see it. I can see changes in weather patterns, and I care about the environment. But I think that this whole focus on like caps and other stuff like that, it's like, yeah, like I don't think that it's really benefiting people the way that they think it was. Yeah, yeah, that bugs the crap out of me too about the whole conspiracy theory thing. It's just like, um, oh my God. I mean, I was put in Facebook jail so many times. I run a liberal prepping group over on Facebook, and I almost had my own coup. Uh, because I because I mentioned Joe Rogan, and I was trying to talk about ivermectin, right? And I was like trying to have open-mindedness. Let's talk about this. Where's COVID? Blah blah blah. And I had a rabid group of people on the far left. They're like, ah, and I was like, I'm sorry, I support free speech and having good conversations about things. And they literally give us this group, blah 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 blah. I'm like, start your own group. This is my group. I mean, it was just, so I've been labeled conspiracy theorist, and that's a whole plot too. I mean, that it's really weird. Do you know about the intellectual dark web? And this is back like in 2016, with Jordan Peterson, Brett Weinstein, etc. There's some of the people that in that group that I don't really like. I definitely don't like anymore, but I liked what it was initially. Um, uh, but so it was called the intellectual dark web, and the whole premise was that you had people from very like people on the right and people on the left, like Brett Weinstein, and they were coming together and trying to have deep, long form conversations about things. So to basically promote understanding instead of this, back and forth nipping at the heels and attacking people, right? I don't know I don't know how old you are. There was also another event that happened. God, I don't know when it was. Jon Stewart got on Firing Line. I think it was Fireline. Was it called? Was it called Fireline? Hold on. Jon Stewart firing. Let's see. Crossfire. It was called Crossfire. It was a show on cable. Okay, this was on this 20. Yeah, wow, this is 2004 that this happened. So you're 54. I'm 50. I'm going to be 57 this year. Jon Stewart got on this show called Crossfire, which was this, again, this left right, they would have, and Tucker Carlson was on it, right? And it would be a personal, like a Democrat and a conservative, or, conservative liberal, right? And they were supposed to be, but instead they just were bickering and attack. You can go on YouTube and look up Jon Stewart on Crossfire and see the actual. I encourage you to actually watch the entire thing, because he basically was saying, you are hurting people. He was telling Tucker Carlson, like, this is hurting the American people. And this was back in 2004. Okay. And it just, I really love Jon Stewart. And Jon Stewart actually came out on the one show, late night. Sorry, my brain is not functioning this morning. I'm probably gonna have to stop here. I'm over an hour at this point. I have to say, that's my outside right now. I woke up with thunder and rain, and now we have about 2 inches of snow on the ground. Anyway, Jon Stewart got on, late night guy. Sorry, I'm bad with names. I have a little bit of brain damage, and so I'm bad with bringing up names. Anyway, he got on there and he was talking about the lab leak. He's like, it literally has it in the name, the Wuhan Institute for Virology, right? And he was on late night TV saying this. It's just like, Jon Stewart has got a lot of integrity, I have to say. But yeah, I mean, it's just, we're just nipping at each other's heels, and we've got to stop. So I'm probably going to go, because I need to get more coffee. I need to get lunch. And so, but I've enjoyed, yeah, it's freezing. I'm so done with this winter. I really am. I hope you come back. I'm going to try again and do these at least a couple of times a week. I'm posting, yeah, thanks. So I'm working on breaking down some larger hour-long footage, multi-hour-long footage, into smaller pieces. Sachin, you got the wrong channel. I'm not here to talk about relationship advice. Anyway, I'm here to talk about the mess that the United States is in right now. So anyway, so as a summary, here's my homework. Go look up Curtis Yarvin, research the Dark Enlightenment, go back to history, study the Enlightenment. I'm planning on rereading 1984 and Brave New World, and other stuff. Let's see. And then, yeah, watch Jon Stewart on Crossfire. But I'll have more stuff. So, but yeah, This isn't as cohesive as I would like it, but I'm going to try and figure out. Yeah, I think more people need to reread that. I'm trying to get a study group, but I've got no followers. So, I don't know. I'm trying. I'm doing what I can. anyway, Tenacious J, thank you very much. I appreciate your help. And yeah, if you haven't, subscribe and like and share. I've got other content that's coming up. Like I said, I'm doing what I can. You try. Anyway. Oh, also that comes from that comes from Bill Hicks. I hope you know who Bill Hicks is. Go out and if you don't know who Bill Hicks is, go find Bill Hicks. Oh, Bill Hicks is great. And R.I.P. man, we need you now more than ever. Him and George Carlin, we need like out there. We need these people. But anyway. All right. Well, thank you very much. And have a great Sunday. Take care. Bye.